Welcome to E-commerce with Coffee, a podcast powered by Amber Engine, where we share e-com secrets for brands over your favorite brew. We start with the caffeine and then leap enthusiastically into behind-the-scenes e-com insights that led to the success of our guests. I'm Nate Svoboda, and I'm about to serve you up the best. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to a special episode of E-commerce with Coffee. Today, I get to speak with Brittany VanDenBerg. She is the VP of Business Operations at Legacy Home, and she's actually been an Amber Engine client since the beginning of 2021. Not only that, she was a very early adopter of our Next-Gen PIM, and I'm very excited to chat with her today and hear about her experience thus far. So Brittany, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I am so happy and excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I know I didn't prep you for this, but something I always ask at the beginning of my episodes, and I know from our chat, you are a very energetic person. I imagine caffeine must play a role in your life. Is that fair to assume?
That is very fair to assume. Yes, I am quite the caffeine drinker.
Are you a coffee, energy drinks, tea? What's your choice?
Try to stay away from the energy drinks. Not my preference regardless, but I am a big coffee drinker. Espresso is my lifeline most days. Most days, Monday through Friday, I start my day with about 4 shots of espresso. And then I have a half a gallon of water that I try to go through after that to, I guess, balance.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I really love lattes, so I usually end up getting an extra shot in there, and I keep my
Yep.
water. It's not quite a gallon, but I do try. I need to get better at replenishing the body a little bit after that.
Yes, I'm a big latte drinker as well. I do like, straight espresso. I like hot espresso, but the problem is I live in Texas and I can't do the heat. So I like to, get a nice iced latte with some extra espresso and off I go.
No, I'm the same way. I don't have 20 minutes to wait for my drink to cool down. I'm
Yep.
tired and I need to get that boost, so I'm right there with
Yep.
you. Oh, well, today we're going to talk about your experience with Amber Engine over the past year and a half-ish plus. So really quick, would love if you could just talk to us a little bit about what was it that made you want to initially, take the jump and engage with Amber Engine and our PIM.
Absolutely. So I had come on board with Legacy not too much prior to when we onboarded with Amber Engine. And in some of the evaluation pieces of what I was looking at going on in the company, our major pain points were spoken to by Amber Engine. We are an e-commerce, driven company. We do brick and mortar as well, but e-commerce is our day-to-day priority, really, if you will, want to put it in that type of terminology. And when we were looking at everything, one of the biggest problems that we had was what Amber Engine does is optimizing all of our data in order to get it out to our customers and get it out to all these different platforms and people that we work with that want it manipulated in their own way. And we had somebody manually doing this at the time. And for me, whenever I look at any type of business decision, time is money. And so I will take a whole year and I will say, okay, we're paying somebody this amount, and I will break it down into hours and minutes and go, oh my goodness, like we're just throwing money away by not making this more efficient. And how do we do that? And so that, when I had originally spoken with Dan from Amber Engine and really started to learn more about what Amber Engine does, I was seeing the dollars like go down significantly as it relates to time. And I was kind of sucked right in from there.
I
But that
love
was a
that.
huge pain point for us.
No, and I'm glad you made that point because a lot of times, it's not even just about how much time is being saved, but what can you now do with all of that additional time that you got back into your day?
Right. Yes.
Absolutely.
And, in that process of me coming on board, and we're a small team, right? We don't need or have 50, 100 people running our day to day operations. So when I have one person that's taken out of pocket to spend an excessive amount of time on something, and I mean, at that point, it was taking them a week to 2 weeks to maybe onboard 5 to 10 products because it is so extensive with some of our customers. Well, that person being out of pocket means that some of that workload then goes on somebody else. And so they're out of pocket. I mean, it's just a snowball effect that we do not want to have. And really, I wanted to optimize that and find a solution for that. That kind of being the starting point, not realizing all the other solutions that were going to come out of Amber Engine at the time. That was really a driving force for me because one, I have customers saying, hey, where is this? You said, you're going to have this new fun stuff. And I'm going, I'm trying to get it to you as quickly as I can. But then also internally, the strain that it can put on a small team, and how to alleviate that was a huge, point of consideration for us and looking for that solution.
Yeah. Well, so you talked to us just now a little bit about, some of the reasons you were initially open to hearing us out, right? How do you actually feel, in general, that the software, that the tool has matched up to your expectations?
So it has definitely exceeded my expectations. I mean, originally we were looking to resolve that problem, right? We were looking to take down 2 weeks of workload, to an hour, maybe less in a lot of cases, increase our speed to market with new products from, 2 to 4 weeks to 1 to 2 days max. That was something that we expected and was executed almost immediately. We on our side had a lot of data cleanup that we had to do because I also walked into a data disaster. I mean, it was just like a tornado had ripped through our Dropbox, and I'm like trying
No.
to put everything back together. But that's where it was. That's where it was housed at the time. And so that was something that took us a little bit, but once it was done, it was done. And so then I start looking at Amber Engine and going, okay, they've met the expectation of what we originally were looking to use it for. But then it went beyond that because I've actually implicated in my customer service team the use of Amber Engine. Amber Engine is a huge tool for them because they can immediately go in there, find what they're looking for to answer consumer questions, or even customer questions. And not only that, but they can go in there and grab images really quickly so they know what the consumer is talking about when they call and say, I'm trying to put this together and I don't understand, this corner on this side. And my customer service team's going, well, we have hundreds of things with corners, where do I begin? They can then visualize and execute a resolution for the consumer by getting into Amber Engine and doing it quickly. Also being able to pull assembly manuals and things like that has helped my warehouse team when we are trying to fulfill a spare parts request. I've also been able to utilize it with my reps. My reps can get in there and go, okay, they use it as their catalog. I mean, they're able to not only talk to a potential customer and say, oh, here are the pretty pictures. They're going, oh, you need something that's this high or this wide, and it's all at their fingertips. So in terms of what we expected, that was right off the bat, but I in no way expected to be able to utilize it in so many other ways as well. That has just really improved our overall business operationally and with our sales team in the field and really everyone.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate how specific those examples were because a lot of times, people don't think about the fact that, well, consumers we've been seeing are asking more questions than ever before and some questions that have never even been asked before. So now, the customer success personnel, they don't have to go ask somebody else in the business. There's a source of truth that they can rely on to get their job done more quickly and more efficiently. Absolutely. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, and it's funny in the nature of e-commerce, that's kind of what has happened. People realize, oh, I can ask these really bizarre questions. People aren't going into the stores with their tape measures and looking at it, and I mean, the height from the bottom to the floor. Questions like that where we're going, okay, don't know why, but instead of my team taking a tape measure into our showroom and trying to get all that together, they are able to access that really quickly, which is a huge benefit across the board because we have more questions than ever about product because of the nature of e-commerce.
Yeah. Well, so something I'm really curious about, a lot of businesses when they're evaluating a PIM or a tool like a PIM, they're worried that it's going to take way too long to get onboarded. They're, maybe worried about what that experience is going to be like. So, first question, how long did it take for you to feel fully onboarded and able to actually use the system as intended?
Yeah, so that's a great question because, as I mentioned, our data in the beginning was a disaster, right? And as I was a little afraid because I'm going, I need a solution. How long is it going to take for us to get it where we want it to be so that we can even utilize it for its functionality and what it was created for, right? It was so much quicker than I ever could have imagined. I mean, really, the implementation process did involve a lot of that data cleanup. But one of my biggest, I don't know what the phrase is I want to use because the way I want to express the Amber Engine team, sometimes I really do not have words for it because the involvement and the dedication that the Amber Engine team has to getting your, not just, oh, you're signed up, everything's in there, off you go. Their customer service is a selling point. And I did not expect the customer service, and I would put that into this bucket for the purposes of this conversation. I did not expect the customer service of Amber Engine to go above and beyond to make implementation. I am so sorry, the lights just cut off in my Oh,
That's
there they
totally
go
fine. Oh,
again.
and they're back.
I apologize for that. That is the joy of doing things like this. I suppose you just never know what's going to happen.
I love it. We roll with the punches.
So hopefully it won't happen again. I do apologize. But to the point of the customer service, it was just the involvement of the team was so unexpected for me. And it made the implementation so much quicker because I wasn't having to guess and question and figure things out. It was, hey, we're going to help you do all these things, and then we're going to show you. And guess what? Call us anytime. And believe me when I say I have called many times going, I don't know how to do this. And so because of that involvement, really, I would say I felt comfortable within 1 to 2 weeks of, post implementation with the PIM. I mean, it really, that process was so great that it made it so easy for us to dive in when, they let us out of the nest, right?
Yeah. Well, and I'm and I appreciate that. Thank you. With all the tools and solutions and softwares that are out there today, that's a real pain point that a lot of people have where they'll onboard something and, they'll feel like they're up the creek without a paddle, right? They don't know what
Yeah.
they're doing and they don't know who to reach out to for help with. So we appreciate that. I'm glad you had that experience. And thinking specifically about, the features in the tool as you were learning, did you have, any particular fun learning any of the features in specific?
So I would say, one of the things for me, and especially being a post user and the next gen PIM user, one of the most exciting things for me were the channels. I loved the channels because it gave us a new layer of opportunity to organize our data. And then I can look at it in a different light. I can then see kind of what some of my customers are utilizing in terms of data and what some maybe don't have in terms of product, right? I can kind of draw some of those comparisons, and it also makes it so simple and easy for us to break down our catalog and look at it in that type of light. Because now when I look at the channels, it's not just by customer, it's also by product category. And so those two things kind of combined really brought a whole new level of ability for us to manage our data quicker, more efficient. When it's time to do a seasonal product and we go, okay, we want to look at all the data for this seasonal product, it's just boxed nice up with a nice little bow, right? It's just wrapped up so perfectly. And that was that was a really fun thing for me to see, as well as, honestly, every time I export data, I'm so happy because I don't have to, again, going back to that huge pain point that we had of the manual processes involved in putting data into a certain format based on requirements of somebody else. Well, the execution and the accuracy that kind of comes out of Amber Engine is really fun to see, because it's like magic, I know it's not. There's so much data and technology and coders that have worked so hard to build this out, right? But when you get it, the end result of that, it's just kind of, I may sound a little cheesy talking about it like that, but it really is kind of like magical, because it alleviates that pain point and it's all there and it's accurate. So those things were really exciting for me. I think one other thing that really sticks out to me in terms of what excited me about the functionality, it's, well, two things. So the first thing is the layout, right? Making things easy to read, easy to understand, for anybody to get in there and be able to draw out what they're looking for, I find very important. So, whether it's marketing material or whether it's data, if people can't find what they're looking for, they're going to get frustrated. They're going to stop at the first line. They're going to go, whatever, I'll find this a different way. And Amber Engine alleviates that, because it is so easy to get in there and understand what's going on. The second part about that, where I went from 1 point to 2, is that really the formula piece. Again, I use Amber Engine in some unconventional ways. Being able to put in formulas and, look at pricing, look at margins, look at, who we can discount what with and at what level, and, breaking that down into all these nice buckets. And again, this is taking out everything from being in my Dropbox and my promotions folder to my rep folder to my this folder to my that folder. It's all now inside of Amber Engine and accessible to me. So I guess that kind of ties that whole thing together, because me being able to utilize Amber Engine to look at pricing and promotional conversations, etc., whatever it may be, I'm not having to go all over the place with that. So the formula feature was pretty exciting for me too, because I immediately was thinking of all types of ways I could use that.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad that you pointed that out. And it's amazing how much more beneficial it can be to do everything in one place,
Yeah.
right? And not have to leverage, this tool to do one minute part of the process, and it just waterfalls down from there.
Yes.
And I'm sure the team will love to hear that it feels like magic, because at the end of the day, that's the experience that you want to have, right? You don't want you don't want to have to work for the system. You want the system to work for you,
Absolutely.
right? Absolutely. Well, diving into a bit more specifics, how many digital channels does Legacy currently sell on? And for the audience, we think of a digital channel as, a Wayfair, something like that, but also, the retailer websites, and, as those are becoming more important.
Yes, so we've been adding a lot lately, which is really exciting for us, to be doing that and to not be afraid of doing that, right? Currently, we have 11 or 12, and some of those actually, branch out into even more channels. So across the board, we're probably actually closer to like 17, 18 channels, but some other people kind of broker that for us.
And has that number changed since you joined Amber Engine?
Oh, absolutely. When I originally started with Amber Engine, at the time we had 5 max. It may have been 4 at the time. And these were customers that didn't have a lot of product. It was kind of the bare minimum. And again, going back to that evaluation period of how can we do this quicker and add more, we were only at 5. And then since then, it has just been we've been adding on customer after customer and without fear. Everybody wants customers, right? Everybody always wants customers. But there, especially with a small team, sometimes there can be an apprehension of how quickly can we get this done. But since then, we've more than doubled our original number, which is really exciting.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And, because it sounds like you are so operationally focused, I mean, you were able to break, costs and resources down into hours and minutes. I mean, that's amazing. How has the PIM impacted the time required for you to interact with, or for your team to interact with those selling channels, whether it's just getting new products to an existing one, or maybe you're onboarding a new client or a new customer?
So, without exaggeration, we went from 1 to 2 weeks down to can get something done in an hour. Now what I do when I look at product is I have a baseline requirement for any new product that comes in. So even in conversations with new vendors or with our part of our product development team, our suppliers, before we ever even sign off on a PO, my question is, can you get me this data? And how quickly can you get it to me? So then we're moving ourselves even quicker because my information now, before we're getting that information and taking 1 to 2 weeks to make sure it's all right, get it ready, then try to upload it or onboard it and it doesn't go as planned and then you're fixing things right. To now, we have a process in place and a system that allows us to literally do this within 20 minutes, maybe. We're able to take the data that we've acquired during the process of product development, right? We're then able to put that into the system. And in that same process, we're putting in our new templates. If it's a new category, we're testing to make sure that everything's going to work right. So when it's time to say go, it's done and we're onboarding it with the customer and then we're just waiting for them to make it live. It's really that simple for us now. So we've dwindled down from weeks of time to, yes, there is some back end preparation that we do for this, but in terms of the actual execution, minutes. We can do it in 20 minutes.
I love that. And that's amazing to hear because that makes it, you can onboard more channels more easily. You can improve the engagement with existing channels, and all of that at the end of the day equates to growing your business, right?
Absolutely.
Something that, shame on me, I didn't ask this earlier. What all types of data information, we're kind of using those interchangeably, do you put in Amber Engine?
So we have a lot of stuff in there. Everything from our imagery, all of our assets, so our imagery, our assembly manuals. We're also, in terms of data points, we're talking about the measurement of every single part. We're looking at the parts, we're looking at the whole piece of furniture. How is that furniture made up? What material is utilized? What colors are there? We're also looking at, what certifications come from this supplier? Do we, fit into all of these standards that are expected by some of our customers, right? We literally take a product and all but rip it apart and put it inside of Amber Engine. Because again, the access to information online, everybody knows that they can find information, which means, customers and channels, if you will, are are then saying we have to already have this information because the consumers are asking the question. So now it's become this expansive amount of information that is needed to do e-commerce business. And I say needed because some of these are buying decisions by the end consumer. If you're not certified, green certified, or if you're, or if it's made of a particular material, the consumer may not want it, but if they can't get the answer to the question, then they're definitely not going to want it. So we've ripped everything apart and have put in as much information about our products as is remotely possible into Amber Engine so that we're never really asking a question, or my customer service team doesn't have to ask the question, or our customers don't have to ask the question. That's how much how far we kind of go with the data for our products.
Yeah, and to that point that you just made, and I'm glad that you made it. These marketplaces and channels, we keep calling them, but the retailers, everybody, they're asking this information because they want to offer more personalized recommendations to the end consumer. And so by making yourselves a proactive brand and being able to offer this information, it improves your relationship with the channel, improves the likelihood that you get discovered and purchased. I mean, it's a classic win-win-win situation in the words of Michael Scott.
Absolutely.
Well, so if it sounds like you would, and I appreciate that, but if you were to recommend this product to a good friend and you were just going to be totally frank with them, what would you say are PIM's top benefits?
So I think the number one benefit is the speed to market. Speed to market means I'm selling more, which means I'm making more money. Right. And everybody, in the goal of and in the nature, not nature, but in the willingness of business, right? Typically you want to make more money. So the speed to market for me is easily the number one point. I think also, something that I believe is a huge asset to Amber Engine is really the team. And I don't say that lightly because I have worked with many software programs. I've worked with other people who, whether it be a service or a software or whatever it may be, we've all had customer service experiences, right? And a lot of times you only have negative opinions of customer service experiences because the whole reason you're there is because maybe something went wrong in the first place. I think the team really is actually a huge asset because not only are they supporting me as a customer, right? They go beyond that because they're looking at my data and going, hey, maybe we should try to optimize this. There's a strategy piece to this that a lot of companies are not all involved in. And I have a lot of respect for that because I am in a mess every day, right? I may not see something that your team will see because you guys are looking at data every day in a different light, right? And I truly believe that that's a huge intangible but also tangible asset to Amber Engine that I think should not be missed by any means because it has helped us improve our business and our data. Also, along with kind of the speed to market, I mean, I really would tell people that today is not the day to keep using your Dropbox to organize all of your product information.
Say that one more time. You don't actually have to. But.
Like, no shade on Dropbox, right? However, again, going back to the need of the consumer, the need of the customers, Excel spreadsheets and Dropbox folders is not the way to drive efficiency in your business when it comes to product data, and especially, in my opinion, if you want to scale. If you want to scale your business, if you want to add more product, if you want to impress your customers, you have to have something that is going to help propel that and promote that goal. And Amber Engine does that. The organization that it brings for not just myself, but my entire team, and the way that, the efficiency in executing our goals as it relates to product or customer service or warehouse operations is just unmatched. So that was a lot into that, but really, this is the way that I see data now in terms of organization. And for me, that's really exciting. And I think that other people, given the chance to see that as well for their data, seeing how much it alleviates from them, that is what I would tell my friends. Like, you need to do something like this because it's going to change so many things for your business.
So now, and if you're talking to that same friend, right, what are maybe some of the cautions or drawbacks or things that you would tell them to be careful about as they were looking at a solution like Amber Engine specifically?
Sure. I think, one of the first things that comes to mind is definitely an internal piece. And that being that, especially on the front end, and if your data is as much as a mess as ours was, I would say having somebody that can be dedicated to forming this new foundation of how you're going to manage your data, I would say would be very beneficial to anybody stepping into, a new PIM, right? Going from all those Dropbox folders to this incredible organizational software. I would say having somebody who can be dedicated to that would add value to your data even more than the value that's already brought with the software. I would definitely think that's my biggest thing. I think personally for me, I often wish that I could have spent, or still do wish I could spend more time inside of there myself. And in the forefront, I was the only individual that was really kind of driving the implementation on our side of things. And I really wish that I could have had a week to only do that, right? Because then we could have gone even quicker. I like to go fast, if you can't tell. I'm like, let's go. How fast can we go? It's not can we, it's can we go fast? No, it's how fast can we go? That's kind of where the world that I live in. So that was something for me in the front end that I wish I could have had somebody on my team fully dedicated to that. I would say also, and not even as a cautionary piece, but more as an awareness piece to people who are for the first time getting into a software like this. I do have a little bit of background in the tech side of the furniture industry, and there's so much misunderstanding of really how it all works. And a lot of retailers or other even e-commerce people sometimes are apprehensive about software. And I would say not as a cautionary piece, but as an awareness piece of when you're working with something that is so innovative and new, and it's a piece of technology, that you have to be able to have grace for the little things sometimes that have to work out. I encountered a really quirky thing that happened involving onboarding a new product a few months back. And those things are going to happen every once in a while, just like it's going to happen with anything. I think sometimes there's a misconception of perfection when you're working with a software piece. It kind of goes both ways. You either have the people that don't believe in it at all and it's always broken and it never works. Why do we do this? And you have a lot of people who really believe in it, but it can still be kind of frustrating sometimes when it's not going as planned. And I would just say, honestly, the grace piece to that would be my awareness that I would want people to have of, yes, you're going to encounter new things in this that maybe you've not seen before. You don't know how to use. Maybe it doesn't, your data doesn't come out perfectly the very first time because you've adjusted something, but that doesn't take away from the actual effectiveness of the software, but just give yourself a little breather, take a step back, call Amy or whoever it needs to be. Amy, I'm really sorry I said that because
She's going to get so many calls now.
she gets so many calls. But I mean, that's kind of the thing though. It's just like, take a step back because those things do happen, whether it's here or whether it's you're trying to log in on your phone to your bank account, right? Sometimes it just doesn't work all the way. But honestly, that is so few and far between, and it's kind of just like this, that it's something that I just want people to have a little more grace and patience for, really, but it's worth all of that.
Well, and what I take out of that, right, is it's just all that much more important to understand why you are doing this. What is the driver that you want to have an effect on your business? Because then you are probably less likely to, use the phrase, you lose the forest for the trees, or you lose sight of the forest for the trees, right?
Yep,
all the
absolutely.
little things, you forget the why.
Yeah.
Well, Brittany, we could dive into so many more things. I just appreciate you sharing your time, your thoughts, your experience. One thing that I would like to ask and leave with, what is something in, a movie, a TV show, a book that you've read, what's something that you're interested in right now that some of us can go check out?
Ooh, that is a great
I didn't prep you for this one, so I'm really putting you on the spot here.
No, you didn't. And now I'm going, oh man, this could bring some judgment, right? You're like, what do I say without people really being kind of skeptical? Earlier we did kind of have a brief comment about Stranger Things. I am all in on Stranger Things. July 1st is tomorrow, and I really just can't wait for it. I've already blocked out. I mean, I'm off tomorrow, and I'm going, all right, maybe it's not the best use of all my
8 episodes,
time.
8 hours. I could do that.
I'm off. I got 8 hours free. So what am I going to do? I am a big advocate for that. I think I kind of, when I do actually have the time to watch TV, I bounce around. There's not too much out there that's new in terms that I'm all over right now, except for the new season of Stranger Things. But I will say this, my go-to, especially after long days, that I frequent throughout the week is Big Bang Theory. I'm a big fan, really enjoy that show, and it's definitely a go-to for me. And I mean, I'm rewatching it again, just here and there, because I do really enjoy that show.
I love it. Well, I haven't watched Big Bang Theory in a couple of months, and this is a good reminder for me. I'm going to go watch an episode after this.
Hey, I support that.
I love it. Well, Brittany, it has seriously been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for sharing, again, your experience with me, with our audience, and I look forward to seeing all the great things that Legacy and Amber Engine are going to do together.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me. We're very happy with and looking forward to the future of our partnership with Amber Engine.
Amazing, Brittany. Thank you very much. That's it for this episode of E-commerce with Coffee, powered by Amber Engine. If you haven't gotten your fix yet, be sure to get more e-commerce brand secrets on our website at amberengine.com. And don't forget to subscribe for more episodes.